Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Brad Walter, and for this, our final assignment, discussion PowerPoint, we're told we need to discuss a GPS system, and that we were pretty much open to discuss anything from electronic flight bags to a full flight management system in an aircraft. So I chose to do one that I think is most widely used for those starting out in general aviation. When you're doing your training, doing initial private pilot and instrument, commercial, all that good stuff in smaller aircraft, I think it's probably the most widely used combination for flight, coupled with a Sentry GPS system. All right, again, the reason I chose to talk about this electronic flight bag system is hard to go to a flight school these days and not see somebody that doesn't have at least an iPad with ForeFlight on it, and then most of the time either the person themselves or the flight school have an ADS-B receiver like a Sentry to take along, a couple with that iPad to help them out with all their flight planning and flying the plane. So ForeFlight on the iPad is obviously a great tool. You can use it for flight planning, checking weather, getting weather briefs, and then when you get the Sentry, there's a few different flavors of Sentries. You can get more basic ones and that are a little bit cheaper, just have basic functionality, and then you can go all the way up to ones that have a ton of functionality. They're just a little bit more expensive. But your basic Sentry ADS-B receiver is going to have a WAS GPS, and it's great to be able to couple that GPS to your iPad and be able to use it during flight. All right, listed here is some of the general stuff that the ADS-B receiver that's pictured in the background here is going to provide you. And that's kind of the middle of the road receiver. The one right below it doesn't have, like, it isn't battery use. You have to have it plugged in all the time, and it doesn't have the CO2 monitor and alarm. But this one here pictured has an ADS-B receiver, a WAS GPS, CO2 monitor and alarm, weather, in-flight weather, an altimeter, and backup attitude and heading reference system. I mentioned in the previous slide that the ADS-B receiver, the Sentry with ForeFlight, provides you with WAS GPS. To further define that, WAS is Wide Area Augmentation System. It's a regional space-based augmentation system operated by the FAA that supports aircraft navigation across North America. GPS in general is a constellation of approximately 24 satellites. Well, 24 satellites, and then they have, I believe it's up to 30 total, so they can supplement in. If there's bad satellites, they'll kick one out and bring another one back in. So what WAS does is it receives your position information from those satellites, and it sends that signal to ground-based systems for them to filter out the information and ensure it's accurate, monitor the satellites for integrity and accuracy to make sure that it makes sense, so it gives you a more specific and refined position on the planet. So a few of the other really cool functions that this GPS system provides you is you got a moving map display, so you can actually see your little airplane flying along the map. It gives you ground speed, altitude, and estimated time and route. If you have your whole route planned out, it'll give you ETA to different points, as well as your final destination. Another really cool function that I like is the approach plate overlay. So if you're going to be shooting an approach into an airport, you can actually put that approach plate on the moving map, and then as your aircraft enters that section of the map that you're going to be flying, you'll see it fly right over the approach plate, and you can make it different transparency, so you can still see the map behind as well as the approach plate. and then you can just see yourself flying right over to, if you have a hold before the approach, fly the hold, and then fly your point to point all the way in for the approach. It's really quite amazing how easy these systems make it. And I also just wanted to give kind of a testament to how well ForeFlight, iPad, and Sentry are all compatible together. The Sentry was specifically designed for ForeFlight, and therefore it works very well together. It's not only just a great GPS source of navigation, but it has a lot of other functionality that help them work together well. You can share your routes as well. If someone else has ForeFlight, you can, and they're in the same cockpit as you, you can shoot over your flight plan right over their right over to their iPad using these systems. Then another great function of ForeFlight with its GPS is not only is it just compatible to display on the iPad itself, but it's also compatible with most Garmin GPS systems as long as they have Bluetooth. So Garmin 430 with WAS, for example, that's what I typically fly with. You can shoot your flight plan from your iPad to your actual panel-mounted GPS, Garmin GPS, or vice versa. You can shoot it from your Garmin GPS if you built it in there first and send it over to your iPad. So it's really nice to have that option to push them back and forth without having to build the entire thing on each device if you want to use both at the same time for backup. So ForeFlight coupled with the Sentry is awesome for GPS, but that's not all it provides for you. There's also a synthetic vision, your backup altimeter, and AHRS system, so you can actually have like a attitude indicator displayed on your iPad while using the Sentry coupled to it. It's pretty amazing how well that works, and then it'll also let you know if there's any obstacles. It'll display those on your synthetic vision in your backup AHRS as well, and it'll also give you different color coding based on your altitude. So as you're coming down, the ground will go from green to yellow to red based on how high you are above the ground. It's also really good for traffic displays too, so it'll display traffic around you and tell you whether it's like how many hundreds or thousands of feet they are above and below your altitude. And if you get if it senses that you're closing on traffic and your co-altitude or within a certain distance away from them, it'll give you an alert. It'll say traffic 10 o'clock 500 feet below or something like that, to give you those alerts and let you know you're close to traffic. Alright, again, just kind of to recap everything, this is a really great source for an all-in-one EFB. You got the iPad with ForeFlight and then the Sentry together, and all that together is really not crazy expensive, especially for what it provides for you. It's an excellent source of situational awareness. Do need to keep in mind though that this is not like an FAA certified GPS system, so you can't go out, like if your aircraft is not IFR equipped, you can't take a iPad and a Sentry with you and say that you're now IFR capable because you have a WAS GPS via this system. It doesn't quite work that way, but it is great for situational awareness. It's compact, compatible, and very convenient to use in any type of aircraft. And there's a lot of support out there because of how widely used all of these systems are. And these are all the references that I use to get information about the equipment that was discussed in this PowerPoint. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you all had for your presentations.